I'm here on Beale Street in Memphis, the most famous musical street in the town, perhaps in the world. One of the things I always like to do whenever I go to a different town is to check out some of the old cinemas, see what the cinemas used to look like. I've got a real love of old cinemas. We've got a very interesting pairing of buildings here. Behind me, we have this. This is the Daisy, classic example of Nickelodeon architecture, a really, really beautiful building. This is once where films were shown here in Memphis. Then, in the 1930s, across the way we have its newer brother. This is the new Daisy. Now, both these venues are now used for sort of theatre and music, but this is the cinema history of Memphis. The other thing about Memphis, of course, you have the Memphian Theatre, which means a lot to me because that's where Elvis Presley used to take his friends to watch Patton, which was his favourite movie. One of the things he would really love to do, he'd be sitting there in Graceland, it'd be like 10 o'clock at night, they'd call up the Memphian Theatre, they'd get the theatre cleared out, take all his friends down and show Patton with George C. Scott, you know, written by Francis Coppola in the pre-Godfather years, known in England as Patton Lust for Glory, and for some reason that was Elvis's favourite film, and that's what he really, really liked to do. Now, all the time, the question of what's the future of cinema in the 21st century comes up. Are people still going to be going to the cinemas? Are we going to have beautiful buildings like this, places for people to go and watch films? Well, been an interesting insight into this recently. A guy called Joe Paletta, who's CEO of Spotlight Theatres, and you may have seen this in the news. He was addressing the issue of what's going to happen to cinemas in the next few years, and he raised the thorny question of 3D and 3D ticket prices. He said the thing is that nobody likes the idea of inflated 3D ticket prices. The truth is nobody likes the idea of 3D, but they've come up with a solution of how to get away from the surcharge issue, and it's this. They're going to take down, probably, the price of 3D films. Well, that's going to create a hole in the budget. How are they going to fix it? Very simple. They're going to raise the price of 2D films. So 3D films will not be any more expensive than 2D films because 2D films will actually be funding the 3D films. And I was thinking about this as an example of exactly what is wrong with cinema today. I mean, I don't like 3D. I really have no truck with it. I think you all know that. But some people do fine. If they want to see 3D films, pay extra for it. That's absolutely up to them. But the absurdity of saying to people who don't want 3D cinema, look, you go and see a 2D film, but you have to pay for 3D cinema, is completely insane. It's like going into a sweet shop and saying, you want to buy cigarettes? No. Well, you've got to pay a tax on the sweets anyway because there's a lot of people out there, they're smoking, they're spending a lot of money, and you've got to fund it. Honestly, I have always said that the thing with 3D cinema is that audiences don't want it. Studios want it, cinemas want it, distributors want it, audience don't want it. Well, now we're in this position in which they're actually saying to people who want to have nothing to do with 3D, you can see a film in 2D, but you have to pay us to make everything 3D because we think it's the future, and frankly, we don't care what you think. No wonder cinema is in crisis.
Thank you very much.